It came upon the midnight clear, that glorious song of old, from angels bending near the earth to touch their harps of gold. Peace on the earth, goodwill to men, from heaven's all gracious King. The world.
Good morning, everyone. Lots going on as usual. Today is Thursday, December 18th, 2025. We're right up close to Christmas. We're in the last little few days, and pretty crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'm actually kind of surprised that we don't have more speech controls passed in Canada at this point in time. So thankful for that this Christmas. I don't know how long it'll hold, to be quite honest with you. Bondi beach terror attacks are being used to promote or to bring in new gun laws and new speech laws, and it targets preachers there too. Seems like lockstep without the COVID, right? Very, very interesting. Global financial crime auditors visit Canada. They're checking their lists, making their list, checking them twice, and to look at all the crime in Canada's financial system. And so that's not surprising, if you ask me. What took them so long? USMCA discussions are dominating what's going on, and 2026 is a renegotiation of the USMCA, and fundamentally, it seems like Canada is not going to be skating on by with a brand new USMCA deal, lickety split. I think that there will probably be some concessions that Canada needs to make. And indeed, it may not matter what concessions we make. Trump may use the USMCA leverage to get what he wants, which is a 51st state, which would be quite valuable for Donald Trump. And, well, a lot of Canadians like that idea because they don't see a political solution to the quagmire we are embroiled in up here in Canada. So there's lots to get to. Let's get to it. First, USMCA. Table Salt says major breaking. United States Trade Representatives Jameson Greer told the United States Congress that for the USMCA to review to be successful, Canada must increase market access for U.S. dairy products, among other items. Trump is going for the jugular. He's been saying for years that he wants dairy. I want dairy. I don't want to deal with Chrystia Freeland, and I want dairy from Canada. That's basically been what he started talking about in 2017. As soon as he took over the presidency, he wanted trade with Canada with regards to open dairy and no supply management or less supply management. Australia and New Zealand wound down their supply management in the late 90s into the early 2000s. They paid off the quota, opened the markets, blah, 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 blah. Everything was fine. No problems at all. People all got richer, right? Everybody was happy about it. Most people were happy about it. The reason people don't want to get rid of the dairy cartel in Canada is because the dairy cartel holds a lot of power, is politically useful, and it's a lot of money. If you have a lot of quota, you have hundreds of thousands of dollars in quota or millions of dollars in quota, you don't want that investment. You own that, and nobody else can own that. You own that monopoly. That's your quota, right? You don't want anybody else to take that quota. You don't want anybody else to infringe on that. That's for your kids and your kids' kids and all the rest of it, right? And so I understand the mentality behind it, but owning a market is not good. It's not good. We should listen to Trump in opening up our dairy markets anyway. Otherwise, I'd be suspect that he's simping for Israel. Melissa says, Canada has a lot of work to do and compromises if they want the USMCA to continue. They don't. They don't want the USMCA to continue. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm desperately wrong in this, and I hope Carney's upset, and I hope he's thinking, oh my gosh, how can we make this USMCA thing go through? But he has not done a damn thing to improve our trade position at all. In fact, he's said to us a bunch of times, the relationship with the United States is over. We're turning a chapter. We're going to give ourselves what the United States only dreams they could give us, or some bullshit like that. And I'm sorry, we don't have 300 million people as a market to buy our stuff from us. So we can't do that. We don't have the money that market's got. We need that market access to make a lot of the companies in Canada viable. Without that market access, a lot of people's jobs will go in the toilet. And that's bad. It's not good. It's bad, right? And people don't want that. And so I hope that I'm incorrect in what I've seen. But what I've seen is Carney making big promises and then not delivering on those promises, just like the campaign. Big lies, no delivery, no follow through. Big promises, no delivery, no follow through. And now we're supposed to just trust that this is going to take care of itself in 2026. You might as well bring Chrystia Freeland back. Here's the list. Washington is not prepared to automatically extend for another 16 years without addressing specific and structural issues. I don't know why my... Okay, now it's responding all of a sudden. Washington is not prepared to automatically exit. Okay, there it is. Washington is not prepared to automatically extend the USMCA for another 16 years without addressing specific structural issues. Buckle up, Canada. And it says, Canada, they need market access for U.S. dairy products that Canada committed to providing under the USMCA, addressing Canada's exports of certain dairy products, the impact of Canada's online streaming and online news acts for U.S. digital service providers, provincial bans on distribution of U.S. alcoholic beverages, discriminatory procurement back in British Columbia, complicated customs registration for Canadian recipients of U.S. exports, and Alberta's unfair treatment of electrical power distribution providers in Montana. So that's just kind of a short list and pretty crazy stuff if Canada is actually going to continue to trade with the United States and continue to have an economy that's functioning that way. I have to kill these tabs now because the resources on my computer are running thin. I might have to get a new computer. This is I think the second computer that I've had to replace. And just in the last couple of days, things have been looking more and more dicey. And it happens as I'm getting ready to do my show. It's very, very, very concerning. I don't like it very much. And it's not smooth for my show, so apologies about that. And I'm live streaming, so I can't even pause it. It's frustrating when the screen doesn't come up properly. This is a Globe and Mail thing, and I can't remember exactly what the Globe and Mail thing is talking about. So, yeah, I have to wait. Oh, that's frustrating. Sorry, everybody. Kill that one. I'm going to pause it on my on the main recording. Wealth Moose says, read this carefully. The U.S. isn't asking Canada anymore. It's listing demands to extend the USMCA. That's what happens when you weaken productivity, punish energy, lose manufacturing, and outsource leverage. Trade deals don't run on vibes. They run on power, and Canada's negotiating power is slipping. It's non-existent. We are in a situation where our leaders are squandering any advantage that we may have had, and they're doing it seemingly on purpose. And instead of explaining what they're doing, they're saying our economy is very strong. We're going to do for ourselves what the U.S. can't do for us anymore because we've been prize a-holes and done nothing at all to better our situation. Wealth Moose again says, what the United States is demanding from Canada to extend the USMCA. As of December 17th, the Trump administration has laid out clear conditions for a long-term USMCA extension. No spin, no ambiguity. According to U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer, Washington wants more access to Canada's dairy markets. Supply management is back in the crosshairs. Again, yeah, not surprising. More access to Canada's dairy market. Oh, sorry, I said that. U.S. alcohol allowed on provincial shelves. Fisheries disputes settled, especially lobster fishing in the Gulf of Maine's gray zone with shared rules and enforcement. And by Canadian procurement rules, provincial preferences in public contracts are being labeled as discriminatory. This isn't posturing. This is leverage. Trade partners don't make demands when you're strong. They make them when you're exposed. Read that again. So we are exposed, and again, we're stupidly not doing anything to better our situation. And I think that that's, if not on purpose, they have a plan that they want to bankrupt us, and anything that plays into that, they'll allow to fester. Here is table salt again. Canada's being audited for financial crimes. The Financial Action Task Force, an international crime watchdog, interviewed 13 government agencies and some banks over 3 weeks in November. Given Canada's links to TD's $3 billion fine and to Ryan's wedding's drug ring. So that's lots of concerning smoke for the investigators to investigate, and I wonder what they'll find. This was published yesterday. Reuters global financial crime auditors visit Canada after record bank fine. So interesting. You do not mess with the special financial investigators. Global financial crime auditors interviewed Canadian financial companies and 13 government agencies over 3 weeks in November, 5 sources with knowledge of the visit said. The interviews included executives at TD Bank, which last year paid the largest ever fine to settle a U.S. money laundering case. I don't know what's not responding for some reason. Again, and like there's nothing running. There's no reason for it to be doing any of this. So I'm sorry if the viewing is less than ideal. It doesn't look very good right now. It's not streaming very well. So I don't know what the heck's going on. It's really, really pissing me off. What would normally be a routine once-in-a-decade review has caused concern in Ottawa and in Toronto's financial sector. Fucking hell. Okay, with that, I have to say goodbye to the stream because it's not working and I have to fix it. So thanks for watching, everybody. If you want the whole show where it actually works properly, head over to CanadaPoly.com. If you don't, that's okay. I'll probably be around tomorrow, but who knows? Maybe I need a new computer. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we will catch you tomorrow. And for everybody else, we'll carry on as soon as... Nope, my mouse isn't working now. We'll carry on as soon as I can fix this effing problem. Sorry, everyone. Now the streaming thing is pausing. F you. Fucking thing. Oh, it's still recording. Huh, hilarious. Nothing's responding now. Okay. Okay, things seem to have calmed down, and this looks to be recording properly, so we'll try again. Carrying on. Apologies, everyone. Sorry that things are not going the way they usually go. I will endeavor to be better tomorrow. What would normally be a routine once-in-a-decade review has caused concern in Ottawa and Toronto's financial sector, the source said, as Canada reckons with TD's $3 billion fine. The visit also coincided with new indictments against fugitive Canadian Olympic snowboarder turned alleged cocaine kingpin Ryan Wedding. A negative report from the Financial Action Task Force, an international crime watchdog, could hurt Canada's foreign investments and the country's reputation as Prime Minister Carney tries to boost productivity and make Canadians' economy less reliant on the United States. Well, it's not going to work because I think what they're doing is fundamentally flawed. Like they're trying to solve a problem by printing money and throwing money at the problem while ignoring the actual issues and the problem itself. They're trying to tangentially attack not the actual problem, because the actual problem they want the people coming in, they want the economic Ponzi scheme that they've built. They want all of that. So they just don't want us to get upset with them for doing all of that. And so they're trying to find a way to shut us up while continuing their ridiculous theft of our production. Globe and Mail, this is the tab I was supposed to show you earlier. They say 2025, it's an opinion piece, but it's still bullshit. 2025 will rank as one of Canada's great nation building years. We didn't do anything. They talked about doing things and they never did anything. They put together bureaucracies and they never did anything. They built pretend houses to talk about building pretend houses. They didn't actually do anything. They're liars. And then they have the media lie, and it's an opinion piece, so whatever, the media always lies, but still, it is a situation that's untenable, and it continues, and again, very, very frustrating. Here is this guy, and he's talking about the federal income tax in the United States. He says there was no federal income tax in the first 137 years in America, that America was a country. Everything changed in 1913 with the Federal Reserve Act and the 16th Amendment income tax. America's wealth was built on productivity and stolen by usury. if there's a terrorist attack and the terrorists are coordinated, and the terrorists are definitely not the government, right? And the terrorists coordinate and they ram somebody and they drive over people, or they shoot a bunch of people, or they take down a building or something like that. And you say those terrorists are bad. Al-Qaeda is bad, right? Like that's a bad thing. But if you have a group of people who take over the government and steal your production at the source, you're not allowed to criticize those people. You have to just do what they say and pretend that everything is just fine. That's super weird, isn't it? So this guy goes through the United States and the finances of the United States and how usury was used to steal money, and why the inflation of the last 100 years means kids can't buy a house these days. Okay. And it's an interesting little, education, and I found it worthwhile to go through. The Reclaimer says, still preliminary and not final accounting, but so far of 215 First Nations financial statements, the top 20 have combined net equity of almost $7 billion. The total net equity of 215 bands reviewed, $14 billion, almost $15 billion. 565 more bands to go. How much more are we going to be giving these people who, like, what does Canada get for that money? What do your rank and file, just regular First Nation person get for that money? Free school? Or I don't even think free school is included in this calculation. I think this is cold hard cash given to the reserves. So what does your run of the mill First Nation person get? Because I don't think they're getting any of that. I think that's like my rich uncle is a chief, and I don't get any of that money, right? Like, you see what I mean? Robert Fife says, Global Affairs official in China to pave the way for a Carney visit. This is our grab bag of governance very quickly. A Carney visit to China? Oh, great. When our trade implodes with the United States, that'll be super good to have China as a backup. That's where we get all of our products from now anyway. So it's a weird partnership. We as Canadians should demand that our leaders are not cozying up to China and the EU when the United States is not aligned with us, right? And Carney is taking us away from being aligned with the United States on purpose, and that's notable. We should pay attention to that. The CCFR is highlighting this Scott Moe interview. He says, you don't have to turn in your firearms in Saskatchewan because no one's going to come get it. Premier Scott Moe explains how he destroyed Mark Carney's plan to confiscate firearms in the province while speaking with Sheila Reid. So there you go. Scott Moe's doing year-end interviews. Everybody's doing year-end interviews. That's interesting. Here is Canada Proud. They say Quebec Liberal Party leader Pablo Rodriguez is expected to announce his resignation later today as questions mount over an alleged pay-for-vote scheme conducted by the party, according to Le Devoir. So Pablo Rodriguez resigning in disgrace. Who could have seen that coming? Everybody. This has been bubbling under the surface for months. He's been doing damage control. I've been kind of covering it, but not really. And now he's being forced out. So, yay! Sometimes they get their comeuppance. Still, I don't think he's going to be held accountable. Like, if you were doing something like this, like after Patrick Brown was found doing something like this and was removed from the leadership race of the CCP, or the CPC, excuse me, wink, then nothing happened to him. He went back to being mayor of Brampton. Nothing happened to him at all. He was like, la, 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 no problems. Everybody's fine. And so that's super effing weird, don't you think? And Pablo Rodriguez will go back to his big house and his government pensions and have no consequences for fraud, for this kind of political scandal. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. See you guys later. I'm out. Right? He's going to join SNC Lavalin as an advisor. They don't exist anymore. SNC Lavalin. They've changed their name to something else now. I can't remember what it is. But SNC Lavalin has shapeshifted, changed forms into a new company by changing its name. Weird. Cool. Weird. Cool. Concerned Canadian says, these are serious allegations against Ma made by constituents. Carney, you must ask him to resign and hold a by-election. That's democracy. This is also an indictment of Carney's lack of judgment and focus solely on a majority. So this guy's asking for $100,000 back. They donated to Ma's constituency and to Ma's platform. His group, and he's never there, they say. So, but I'm not going to play the video right now because we've got to keep moving on. And let's talk about war. And so in Russia, they're realizing that Europe is really not interested in peace. They're realizing that maybe they've just been effed around with, and now it's just time to go and take what's theirs and say, no, we're not doing any more. We're not having any kind of negotiations. If you want a full-blown war with NATO, then fine, we can do that. And I think Russia will win handily, because at this point in time, Europe's pretty well destroyed, and the citizens of Europe